Narcan saves lives. Narcan has saved my own life.
Everyone should be carrying Narcan. It reverses an opioid overdose.
It's easy to get. It's almost at any pharmacy. You don't have to be 18, and you don't need a prescription.
It is saving lives every single day.
It's Not Your Fault is a podcast for parents, caregivers, and young people navigating the world and its challenges. Here's your host, Brandon Jones.
Greetings, and welcome back to another installment of It Is Not Your Fault, a teen mental health podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Jones, and in today's episode, we're talking about an article that I came around that links something that I think historically we thought was directly tied to mental health, but recent research, and I think even society in general, has proven this to be wrong. What am I talking about? I'm talking about poverty, and an article that I came across that was done on a recent research study that poverty does not cause mental illness. Poverty does not cause mental illness. And I'm going to talk about why this is important for teens, parents, and youth workers, caregivers as well. And I'm going to talk about why this type of thinking is something that we have to let go of in order for us to collectively move forward as a society and just as people who want better opportunities and goals for young people. So the article was entitled "Poverty Isn't the Key Driver in Family Mental Health Struggles." This article was published in 2025, July of 2025, right here at the end of the month. And it's what it did was it presented the findings from a large longitudinal study of over 10,000 children in the United Kingdom and the UK. So it's a European study that challenged the common assumption that poverty does not amplify effects of parental distress on children, on a child's mental health problem. Sorry, I kind of stumbled through that a little bit. But what this article does is it shatters a myth, and that's one thing that's important for us to understand. Now, critics may say, no, people who are critical of things like this, they may say, well, that's the UK, Brandon. How does that apply to the United States? And what I would challenge folks to say is they have a similar societal makeup as the United States. There are definitely differences, but I think that the comparative is still valid in this case when it comes to children and their mental health. Now, the United States has a lot of challenges that are very different than the UK. We have different cultures and ethnicities. We have a different overall nationality culture as well, on different diets. There's a lot of factors that do change, but I do think that the comparative is still there and that we should take heed to what is being stated in this article. Let me talk about some of the key takeaways. And of course, before we wrap up today's podcast, I'm going to give you some strategies on how to deal with this now that you know that poverty is not a key factor in the challenging mental health situation that we have right now in our world. So, key takeaways. Number one, while mental health problems are more prevalent in low income families, poverty itself does not make parental distress more harmful to kids across ages. And they looked at from infancy to adolescence. So this is across the whole continuum of childhood. The parent-child mental health dynamics appear consistent regardless of income. So the amount of money you make doesn't matter. But we know if you don't have a lot of resources, if you don't have a lot of money, that struggle does become real and it does weigh on you. But it doesn't mean that your kid is going to be worse off mentally, mental health-wise, than a kid that has more resources or a family that has more resources. This contradicts the theories like the context of stress model, which propose that financial hardship weakens coping resources and intensifies family stress effects. Now, I have a thought on this, and I always thought this because I grew up in poverty. I'm a child of WIC, food stamps, Section 8. That was my life. You know, mice, roaches, things like that. That was a good chunk of my life for a long time, And one of the things that I noticed, even though I grew up in poverty, we didn't know as kids that we were impoverished. We know we weren't rich. But when it came to poverty, that was something that we weren't privy to, because when you're in it, sometimes you're not privy to it. It's like fish and water type of dynamic, right? But another thing that I noticed as I got older and I started to study sociology and psychology and things of that nature is that when people are in those type of situations and dynamics, a lot of times those things become normalized. And that normalization of responding to stress, it doesn't seem like regular stress, it just seems like everyday life. And you see this with a lot of people who have been in poverty for generations or traumatic situations, toxic stress situations for generations. They normalize a lot of their pain and a lot of their trauma where it doesn't show up as a stressor anymore because it's just a part of life. In my culture, as a black man, as an African American, man, we have a very popular saying of "it is what it is." You may have heard that it is also that saying has also transcended into mainstream culture as well. But "it is what it is" one of those phrases that's utilized to normalize the discomfort, the struggle, the adversity that one may feel and keep pushing forward and keep moving forward. It's a resiliency term, and I would say that it's a nationalized term. It's recognized no matter if you're from, Oakland, New Orleans, St. Louis, Minneapolis, New York, Charleston, South Carolina. No matter where you at, right? Doesn't matter where you at. You understand it is what it is. So it's one of those kind of ethnic. Is it called a colloquialism? I think it's called, I don't let me not use big words that I don't know the meanings of, but it's one of those things that is connected to us culturally and we all kind of understand. All right, keep going. And it's a cross generational term as well, which we have a lot of those in the Black community. Another key finding from the article: the findings suggest that mental health interventions should be both universally accessible, which means across all income levels, while prioritizing outreach in lower income communities due to higher overall prevalence. So, just because someone does have resources doesn't mean that they won't have mental health issues, but the folks who have the least resources have the least outcomes to address it. So we should still prioritize those who need the most help to get the most help, which makes a lot of sense. All right, let's get into strategy. Let's get into how do we help people who are finding themselves in these spaces. So if you are a parent or a caregiver, why does this information matter? Number one, mental health in families follows a similar pattern regardless of financial status. A lot of parents blame themselves for the issues that their kids have, even though a lot of times our stuff as parents does influence the outcomes, the foundation, the development of our children. But you shouldn't blame yourself 100% for these things. Kids are personalities as well. They learn resiliency, they learn patterns from different people, from different things. It may not be your fault, hence the title of this podcast, but it is your responsibility to do something. Don't be idle, don't be passive. So understand this information is important. So this means that caregiver stress, anxiety, or depression can directly influence a teen's mental health, not just poverty, the poverty effect of a household. And this does, again, expand across all social economic statuses and levels. Number two, poverty does not elevate the general rate of mental health issues, but its role is more tied toward the prevalence than the intensifying within a family mechanism. That is, poverty isn't necessarily worsening the child parent mental health problems that we have, but it does increase the number of cases overall if people don't have the things they need to for basic survival. I mean, this kind of goes into Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're not going to cover that on today's podcast. I'm just mentioning it so you can check it out later. Maybe I'll do an episode on it later. All right. And number three, it's support. Support should be universal. Support should be universal. And what that means is when it comes to mental health challenges or strategies to deal with the challenges, we should not have some groups that have different levels of access to others. Now, this gets into insurance companies, this gets into quality of care issues and concerns, and this also gets into policy and politics. And we're going to need to make sure that all children get access to the things that they need in order to deal with their mental health challenges. One of the reasons why I run the organization that I run, at least here in the state of Minnesota, where we're trying to make sure that no matter where a child is, if they have a mental health struggle, they have access to quality care or they have resources to deal with what they need to deal with. So shout out to Minnesota Association for Children's Mental Health, the organization that I am the executive director of, because those are the things that we attempt to do at our organization. Now, How can caregivers use this information in practice? What can we do? Now that we know this, poverty doesn't matter. What can we do to help the situation? First, focus on caregiver well-being. You have to take care of yourself. It's always that, the social commentary of pouring from your own cup and securing your own mask. The same concept applies here. You have to do your own work. A caregiver's emotional health, their stress, their anxiety, their depressive levels, has a direct impact on teens, no matter what the household income is. Practice things like self care, being transparent about utilizing various different types of therapies, finding support groups, and regular check ins with other adults, trusted adults for young people, is all important things for us to do. Take care of yourself and mirror and encourage taking care of oneself to the young people that are in your lives. Number two, create a supportive environment. And you hear me say this almost every time I do a podcast. It's so important that we create the settings, the environments where our children feel comfortable enough to deal with their mental and emotional health. Because most times why we don't is because we don't feel comfortable. Open communication, emotional availability, and predictable caregiving routines all help teenagers, young people, feel safe and supported. These benefits apply universally. Doesn't matter if you have resources or not, you can do these things without money. It's not just about financially straining households, it's about everybody doing the work that they need to do. The next one, this is one that is going to push us a little bit to think. Use poverty informed strategies and universal access. Again, when I mean push us, we have to try harder in order to make sure this happens. We need to invest in anti-poverty and social safety net programs like food assistance, housing support, and cash benefits to reduce the overall prevalence of mental health risk in communities. Now, this means that we have to be strategic in how we utilize our funding. We just can't give it away to anybody in anyhow. We need to make this a priority to make sure that our kids get what they need to be successful and good citizens and develop in healthy environments. Which means that policy-wise, politically, we have to do something better than what we have today. At the same time, the supportive parenting programs, counseling, school based mental health resources for all teens is important. I'm a big proponent of school based mental health. I believe that every school should have at least 8 to 10 therapists on staff. I know that sounds insane, but I think it's just as important as teachers at this point. We have too much of a mental health issue where we should have mental health ingrained in every school, unless it's a private school and they choose not to have it. Every public school, every charter school should have a mental health team embedded in the school. If I can wave a magic wand, if I was Jeff Bezos or freaking Elon Musk and I could make a huge impact in the world, I would try to have a universal school mental health component and we would rechange how we do education. We would include mental health strategies because we're at that peak level of need at this point. That may sound like a crazy idea, but it's something I think that will help at least where we are today. We need to build strong and resilient communities. Social support groups are important. And then also encourage community groups, apprenticeships, peer support networks, faith and youth groups as well. Everybody can help. The burden of mental health does not fall on just therapists and psychologists. We all can do something to help the betterment of young people. And we have to be strategic, and I think we have to form community to do this. We've gotten away from social groups. I'm not the only person that's talked about this. I talked about it on the podcast a year or two ago. But we've gotten away from socializing the way that we used to. And I think that it's changed because of technology, but we have to figure out ways to cultivate that interconnection and support around each other. We are so polarized politically and socially that our children, I think, are suffering from the human connection that we don't have. And then the pandemic didn't help any of that either. And then lastly, emphasizing early intervention. Mental health challenges often begin early and persist. Early caregivers recognize the timely help from people like school counselors, pediatricians, and youth workers can reduce escalation. If you see something, say something. Seriously, don't wait. If something doesn't feel good, connect with a school counselor, a therapist, someone who can potentially help. Don't allow our children to develop when they don't feel comfortable, safe, or they don't feel like they have the tools or resources they need to navigate. Because no matter what level you're on, mental health can show up, and that's what this article proved. So I hope that me sharing this information encourages you to do something. Don't wait. Don't think because you're middle class or that you have a little bit of access money or disposable income that you're safe. No, it can happen to anybody. It's happened to me. And I'm somebody who does this work all the time. But my oldest daughter, she struggles with anxiety. She struggles with anxiety. And she didn't grow up in a traumatized household. Now she's had a significant life event as far as a divorce, but her anxiety was there before the divorce happened. The divorce, I think, just added an extra element of complexity to her life, which we're working through now. So again, it can happen to anybody at any time. So take the best care of yourself. All right, that's going to do it for today. This podcast, again, I am Brandon Jones. This is It Is Not Your Fault, a teen mental health podcast. If you like this episode, you can find us or connect with us 3 different ways. The first way is on Facebook. We do have a Facebook group page, but you have to put It's Not Your Fault podcast in the search to find us. So you put that in the search bar, you find us, you like us, you get quality information like this episode and others right there on Facebook. The second place, if you want to reach me directly, my personal website is jegna.org. That's JEGNA.org. That's my personal website where you can learn a little bit about the work that I do and ask me questions and connect with me there. That's JEGNA.org, jegna.org. And then the last place, if you enjoyed my podcast, I guarantee you're going to like other podcasts we have here on our network. What is the network, Brandon? The network is ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. That's ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. Go check us out where we have a plethora of amazing podcasters right there on the site. All right, folks, it's going to do it for me today. Again, I'm Brandon Jones. This is It Is Not Your Fault podcast. I want to encourage everyone to be safe, be constructive, and be well. And we'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Peace.
To check out previous episodes of It's Not Your Fault or to learn more about Brandon Jones, log on to ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
To keep my home running smooth, I count on Xfinity Internet. With 99.9% reliability, we're all online at once. No slowdowns. The Xfinity app lets me manage our Wi-Fi and keep things secure. Xfinity makes it easy.